This episode was created far from Tel Aviv, on the roads between Spain, France and Italy. As part of my occupations, I travel around the world for most of my life, visiting many varied places, ones we all know and many that no one has ever heard they exist beyond those who live in them. These are the places I love most, and one of the things I usually do is enter the cathedral. Those huge isolated buildings that stand for hundreds and thousands of years in almost every town, regardless of the size or nature of the town itself. The cathedral is always in the center, always enormous, intimidating, rich with artworks, in an atmosphere ranging from horror to spiritual uplifting. For years I have been exploring those cathedrals, and beyond the reoccurring motifs we all know as Jesus, Mary, crosses and saints, there is another motif which always seems strange, unusual, one that I could not understand why it always appears in almost every cathedral, on pillars, candlesticks, on a fountain, in a painting or sculpture. It appears in so many places, so we already accept it naturally and don't really think what it is doing there, why there. This motif, which I encountered again along my route in the recent days, led me to the theme of this episode. The motif is a fruit of the pine tree, the pine cone, and today I will talk about the pineal gland. The connection to the pine cone that appears in every cathedral, the pine cone yard in the Vatican, on the Pope's rod, is already pretty clear to me. Not coincidentally, the symbol was chosen and not just in Christianity. The pineal gland, which can be found in almost every vertebrate on Earth, is a small pea-sized gland located in the exact geometry center of the brain. Unlike most brain structures divided into right and left pairs, it is a singular structure that is considered an ancient remnant. It resembles the pine tree fruit, the pine cone, and it is named after it. In the past, the gland was considered a degenerate gland, which remained as an ancient remnant from the time of our ancestors. Until the 70s, it was used only to mark the midline of the brain. Today it is already known that the pineal gland is one of the most important glands in our body. Researchers say that among its various functions, the pineal gland mediates neural stimulation and hormonal secretion, and is used to regulate the biological clock, sleep and wake cycles, season, the immune system, sexual desire, and also takes an important part of the aging process. It is one of a few areas in the brain that is unaffected by the blood-brain barrier, a structure designed to protect the brain tissue from the flow of contaminants and antibodies from the blood into the brain fluid, which allows it to release hormones directly into the bloodstream. It is responsible for the production of melatonin, the hormone responsible for regulating the sense of time and responsible for sleep. It is also responsible for the production of serotonin, a hormone that affects our mood and is responsible for pleasure and joy. One of the most interesting functions of the pineal gland is its ability to create neurotransmitters that link right and left lobes of the brain and contribute to brain synchrony between the lobes, synchronization contributing to optimal mental function. Recent studies have found that the pineal gland contains the same light receptor that also exists in the human eye, receptors that convert light photons into electric pulses in the brain which create images. This is what allows us to imagine and see in our mind's eye, scenes, fantasies, memories and dreams, in familiar visual structures, which may make the gland the seat and source of creativity and imagination in the brain. Apart from all these functions, the pineal gland has another particularly important role, and as part of the metabolic process, it produces another type of tryptamine or neurotransmitter called DMT, a molecule produced in various plants and animals as well as in the human body. It is thought that DMT is produced in our brain at the moment of birth, death, and in a dream. Shamans claim that consuming DMT allows us to disengage from the worldly dimension and wander through the realm of consciousness, move between dimensions, experience out-of-body experiences, and interact with entities of the other dimension. I will devote a whole episode to DMT. The pineal gland has always been shrouded in mystery, and its symbol, the pine cone, appears in sculpture, illustrations, and murals in many cultures, as it symbolizes the connection between the body and the spirit. Throughout history, this gland has been seen as our gate to spiritual dimension and high consciousness. Part of the mystery, of course, has to do with its location, which is not just exactly in the center of the brain, but just behind the chakra or energy center in our forehead, which is known as the third eye. The same mysterious spot in the center of the forehead, which below it the Indians place a tikka and above it the Jews place the tefillin. The third eye is traditionally associated with the metaphysical world, and it is also called the sixth sense or the sixth chakra. Over the years, attributes such as psychic visions and hearing, communication with spirits, intuition and inspiration, telepathy, and out-of-body travels have been attributed to it. The French philosopher Descartes attributed the pineal gland as the seat of the soul, knowledge, and high consciousness. The ancient Greeks saw it as a connection to the kingdom of thought, and the god Dionysus carried a pine cone. The Sumerian gods are shown with pine cones. The Hindus called the energetic center where it is located Ajna, which is an eye, and considered it as a third eye. One of the most prominent symbols of the Egyptian civilization is the Eye of Horus, or the Eye of Ra. Surprisingly resembles the gland within the brain, and so we will find this symbol, the same pine cone, repeating in every culture and civilization on Earth. Why is it so? Probably not because everyone liked pine nuts. The importance of the gland was known in the past, probably more than it is known today, and the gland may have undergone evolutionary or deliberate degeneration. There are different opinions, but I have no doubt that if one has to choose an organ in the body that would cease to function for easier control of the person carrying it, then it would be the pineal gland, the gateway to higher consciousness. Studies have identified that the pineal gland tends to calcify over the years and develop a shell of calcite crystal that can interfere with its function. The process happens also in other internal organs, but it's particularly significant around the pineal gland because of its effect on the body and mind. This can be due to air pollution, chemicals and hormones in food and cosmetics, as well as the fluoride added to drinking water. Various theories hold that there are various authorities who are interested in the gland's degeneration to prevent us from accessing higher consciousness. There are various methods for cleaning the pineal gland or calibrating the crystal around it, but I won't go into it this time. So the pineal gland and the pine cone symbol that appears in so many places makes me realize that we probably have a lot more to explore and understand about its function. The fact that until recently it was thought that it is an unnecessary gland, an ancient remnant that has just been left in the brain and can be removed with no harm, and suddenly we discover that it is one of the most important organs in the human body, make me realize that we still do not understand anything. We may have once known much more, and deliberately or perhaps evolutionarily, our possibility of knowing has decreased along with the calcification of the pineal gland. Awareness today, along with the easy access to information, makes people question and inquire, and opens the possibility for us to rediscover things we have forgotten. Don't stop asking and investigating. The universal truth is full of cracks. Peek through them.
This pure consciousness is called by modern physics the unified field. It's at the base of all mind and all matter. And they now say, modern science says, all of matter, everything that is a thing, emerges from this field. And this field has qualities like bliss, intelligence, creativity, universal love, energy, peace. And it's not the intellectual understanding of this field, but the experiencing of it that does everything. You dive within and transcending, experiencing this field of pure consciousness, and you enliven it, you unfold it, it grows. And the final outcome of this growth of consciousness is called enlightenment. And enlightenment is the full potential of all of us human beings.